guys, welcome back to another video. This week we are doing a home edition. When I am not sewing or painting or crafting, I am working on my house. This is not new to me, as I have done several live-in flips. However, this is the first house that I bought that was new construction. So for those of you who know what moving into a house that is new construction is like, you know that you get the bare bones. So we had to pick out everything from lighting fixtures, ceiling fans, the whole 9 yards. None of it actually comes with the house. You have to put it in once you take possession of it. And so little by little over the course of the last year and a half, I have been tackling some of those things. My office has been the focus, one nook at a time for the last few months. As you guys saw, I've talked about previously that I did my closet, and then last week we actually organized it and made it all tidy, so yay. This week we're actually going to work on this alcove that I have been filming in for the last couple of months, weeks, whatever, I don't know. And this alcove actually lives in between my bathroom and my fabric closet. Like, I can touch both doors. It's actually a small alcove. It's 4 foot 6 inches from wall to wall. And I want something that's just going to give me more storage for props and things that I have made in the past, and I don't want to have in a box. And so what we are actually going to do this weekend is revamp my alcove here. The plan, I am going to be taking the rear wall here and shiplapping it. And I want to do a treatment on the shiplap using a whitewash so that the wood looks like a beech wood. I don't want it painted white like you see everywhere else. I do live in a very coastal area, and so I want the grain of the wood to come through, so I'm going with whitewash. The next thing that I tackled pre-actually removing everything from this alcove is my shelves that are going to go up from here to the ceiling. I wanted nice deep shelves because some of my cosplay props are on the larger side, and I wanted it to go from wall to wall. So in order to get a deeper shelf, I went with a 1x8 that I enlisted the help of my partner in crime, and I had him glue them together and then plane them. I did not do that because I am deathly afraid of the planer. It reminds me of a wood version of a mandolin, and I have taken many layers of skin off of my hands while shaving vegetables with a mandolin, and so I did not want to do that with wood. However, if you don't have a partner in crime or access to a joiner or a planer, the hardware store does have a section of pre-joined and planed pieces of wood specifically to use as either butcher block tops or shelves, as I'm doing, or desktops. It's in the same section of the store as where we got the shiplap kits. There's lots of sizes to choose from. There's lots of, patterns. Some of them we found some really cool patterns. Had we realized this was an option first, I probably would have gone that route because it would have saved me a whole lot of time, and I could have just gone straight into staining instead of waiting for glue to dry. And then the hardware that I selected, I went with these rustic, hypey looking hardware things, because I wanted to play into the fact that I do have a lot of antiques in here, and I like the contrast between some of my finer antiques and the industrial look. I'm hoping of all hopes that everything looks okay. To get my whitewashed beachy look, I ended up using these pine shiplap boards. They come in 8-foot length and they come in 3-foot length. I bought them in 3-foot length so that I can get them in my car. And since I'm only working with a 4.5-foot wall, I felt like that was a really great place to start. What I did to prepare for install is I laid them out. I gave them 1 coat of Minwax Pure White. For my shelves, once they were glued together and planed, and I sanded the becheesies out of them using multiple grits of sandpaper in progression from rough to ultra fine to get them butter smooth. Butter smooth wood? Is that a thing? Anyway, and then I gave them 3 coats of dark walnut. Once my dark walnut was fully cured, I went in with 2 coats of varnish in crystal clear because I didn't want any yellowing. So I specifically buy the crystal clear because it has a little bit of a blue undertone to it to prevent yellowing. At this point, we are fully ready to start pulling everything out of here and start the install process. And so I will see you on the other side. Okay, so officially prior to the install, we did do a little bit of prep work, both to the walls and the area, because Once the shelves were up, I was afraid that painting in the future would be a major PIA. So I decided to paint these walls before putting in the shiplap. It definitely needed it though, because there were a lot of imperfections in the walls. Part of buying a house from a builder is that they cut corners everywhere they can in order to stretch the dollar. One of those corners is they heavily water down the paint. So even when you purchase an exact match of your paint color, it's not going to be a perfect match because they have underbounded. And all of my art friends, you guys know what underbinding is. You can do it to wall paint too. And so there are tons of spots all over my walls where just handprints take the paint off. You know, if you put your hand on it and like you're taking paint off. And so I wanted to do a fresh coat of paint on these walls. We also decided to take the molding out so that the shiplap actually went behind the molding. We found that this was going to be important instead of trying to match up the top of the molding with the bottom of the shiplap. That will require cuts to our door wall molding. To accommodate this, I took the width of my shiplap off the end of my molding, and it will now fit when I go to reinstall everything. To actually install my shiplap wall, we started off with finding the studs because we wanted at least a couple of nails to go into the studs and hold everything in place. And because I'm covering the entire wall, we went ahead and just drew the lines for the studs all the way up to the ceiling, so that way I would have a visual guide for them as I nailed the shiplap into place. From there on, it was just a matter of making sure that my boards were consistently level and locking them into place with using the tongue and groove system. And I went as far up as I could until I got to the point where we were installing the first shelf. So at this point I had Nick install them so that way we could still tell where those studs were, and that way the hardware for the shelves were going directly into studs for security purposes. Now, I did have Nick do it because even though we drilled pilot holes into everything, going through the shiplap and the stud required a little bit more elbow grease than I was able to get. And even he was pushing a little bit hard and making some of those veins pop. But from there, again, I literally just kept measuring out what I needed. Once I would get the bulk of the wall in, I would line up the board that needed to be cut up against the wall and make a dash line in it of where it needed to be cut, and pray to God it fits. Once we got to the absolute tippity top, we only needed to cut the tongue off the top. They were really, we were so close. Had we started maybe a smidgy lower to the ground, we could have gotten away with it, but I wasn't gonna do that math. I then had Nick come back and again install the shelves for me, just screwing them up into the hardware. And then he did add a L bracket so that there's a little bit extra support on the back of those shelves. At this point, we reinstalled our molding, this time making sure to completely nail everything into place and not miss it like our builder did. And then to finish everything off, we gave the entire thing a coat of caulk, so that way it's all sealed and pristine and it all looks like it was there the entire time. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me this week on this home reno project. It is something that I totally enjoy doing, and I hope to do in the future again if you guys will allow me to.
And I will see you all next week.
Part of the crew? Yeah.
Part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew, part of the ship.
Hi. She says I'm the union rep, and I'm here to make sure everybody is taking their mandatory union puppy breaks every 15 minutes. I lost my pen.
Desire to not be on a ladder.
This is the current state of my office.